What's good, trappers? It's your boy, the Wall Street Trapper. And y'all know my goal is to help the culture build wealth one share at a time. You know what it is, Whale Watching Wednesday. So you already know the objective of Whale Watching Wednesdays is just to break down to us, what the big fish doing in the game. And in case you don't know what a whale is, a whale could be these huge investors. It's your pension funds, it's the institutional investors, it's the insurance companies, it's the banks, it's the wealth management companies who are able to buy a lot of shares at one time. When I talk about a lot of shares, we're not really talking about like 100 or 1,000 shares, right? We're talking about 500,000 shares, 1,000,000 shares at a time, right? And what happens with these whales is, they move stock prices one way or other. So if they buying 1,000,000 shares, that can move a stock, right? And if they're selling 1,000,000 shares, that can move a stock. Now, a lot of times what they do is, because they want to be real secretive about the investments they making and not really manipulate the market. One of the things they do is they're buying increments, right? So over a certain time span, maybe between 2 and 3 weeks, maybe sometimes even as far as 6 weeks. One of the things that they'll do is they'll buy incrementally. They'll also sell incrementally, not to like tip nobody off or anything, but they also have to report these movements, right? So one of the things we're going to do with Whale Watching Wednesdays, it's a great episode. I love the feedback I've been getting on it. So one of the things we're going to do with Whale Watching Wednesdays is just break down what these big investors are doing, right? And so we can kind of get an idea of where we need to go, what we need to be doing. But it's important that when we're looking at what these whales are doing, one of the things that we really want to do is, you know how a shark is, or you ever see on National Geographic. I love that channel, by the way, right? That's one of my favorite channels outside of the stock market, right? I watch Discovery Channel, National Geographic. I watch it all the time. But one of the things, you ever saw these sharks or these whales, and you see the little fish that's along ride with them all the time, you be like, man, they eating free food, right? So that's one of the things that we want to do. If we're going to move like the whales, we just want to understand what we're doing. Now, it's important because when these whales sell these shares, these stocks can make a huge fall. One of the things they do is when you see the market having like a massive sell-off, right? And we know what a sell-off is. A sell-off is when these whales and these huge companies are taking profits, right? So when they take profits, you know what's going to happen. The stock is going to fall. Or when you see these pullbacks, that's what's going to happen. So let's just dive straight into this video on Whale Watching Wednesdays. Do me a favor, man. Like this channel, subscribe to it, comment below, man. I'm about to get real active with commenting and talking to you all. Definitely want to just grow this channel and I'm not going to dedicate this channel to telling you like these stocks are going to triple your net worth or nothing like that. But what I will do is, the goal is to just highlight certain things, give us the base on how we can become great investors, right? I think what happens is, if I tell you, get this stock because it's going to do that, get this stock because it's going to do that, what happens is, if I, stop doing it, now you stuck, right? But what I can do is, if I can put out a ton of content, we're helping you all understand how to be great investors. If I can put out a ton of content that educates you all on mistakes that people make, things that you should be looking out for, if I can put out this type of information consistently every day, now what we're doing is we're putting everybody in position to win, and we're helping everybody become great investors. If you saw the post that I put out yesterday, I talked about wealth management companies, right? And how important this is, that and we can be in that sector, because everybody's going to flood the tech industry, right? And if everybody floods the tech industry, then what we'll see is when tech goes down, we go down, and we have no diversification in our portfolios. But if we learn how to move in different areas, now we got a chance to be real successful, and we have a chance to be great at investors. So let's tap in. This week we're watching Wednesdays. But right now we're going to talk about Chase Cole, who runs Tiger Global Management, right? Chase Coleman runs Tiger Global Management. They have about 90 stocks in their portfolio. The portfolio value is $35 billion. To be exact, it's $35,532,151. Say that again. Yeah, we'll just say 35.5 billion to keep it cool. So some of the things that he's been doing really caught me off. Like I was like, okay, cool. So one of the things that he did that I paid attention to was he added 105% of ServiceNow to his portfolio. Now I like ServiceNow as a business. I kind of think it was over valued the last few times I checked it. Really waiting for it to go down. They have a great, their CEO Bill McDermott. That is my guy. That is my guy. He is my guy. I'm gonna just be real with you. But he added 105%. ServiceNow actually represents 2.3% of his portfolio. You have 1.4 million shares of ServiceNow. 1.4 million shares of ServiceNow with a value of $722 million. Damn! Y'all know that's my Gucci man, boy. He really loves ServiceNow, and I think that was real cool too. He also has. Now let's talk about, before we go there, let's just talk about like ServiceNow as a business and what they represent. Not only do they have a great moat, not only do they have a great CEO, but this year in 2020 was a great year for them. The stock price catapulted this year. I think McDermott came in 2018, maybe 19, and he just turned that business around. I talk about that business a lot in Trappers Anonymous because it's one of the businesses that I really love. Another business I love outside of them is Attain Technology. I couldn't get those businesses at the prices I wanted. They are on my watch list. ServiceNow and Attain Technology are both on my watch list. It's kind of painful when I see them run up like that. But same thing I did with Chipotle. You know, you just wait and you wait till it comes to where you want it. Another business, Uber, caught me off guard with that one. I actually have owned Uber since it was about $16 a share. I think right now I have about 250 shares of Uber. I have to check my numbers to fact check. I think it's between 200 and 250. Sometimes I get lost in there. But he added 55% of Uber Technologies to his portfolio. It represents 1.6% of his portfolio. He has 15 million shares. 15 million shares of Uber. He really liked that business. Now, one of the things about Uber for me was, so I bought Uber because they have the largest market share when it comes to ride share. Right? They have more market share than Lyft. They were doing some great things. But one of the things I did like about Uber for sure was the fact that they had this air taxi coming out around 2025. It can, I think the taxi held about 7 to 8 people at a time. It can travel a 60-yard radius. It could go up to 100 miles an hour. It was going to start in Dallas, Austin, LA, and New York. But just recently we found out they sold that. They still want to do it, but they sold a business to another company. So it kind of made me think about it. Still think Uber has a long way to go. But this value is of $566 million for him. He really loves Uber, but you see that ServiceNow pick, man. That's one of my go-to. I like that pick. But also I see that he reduced PayPal. He reduced PayPal by 2.3%. It actually makes up 1.19% of his portfolio. He has 2 million shares, 2.1 million shares with an actual value of about 423 million. Now, him selling PayPal to me doesn't mean he's coming off the company. Again, he's only selling a portion of it. And we notice when we say that they're selling, they're not selling like their whole entire stake of a business. They're selling enough to take those profits and add them to somewhere else. And one of the things we see, he sold that, but I also see he added, as I look at his paperwork right now, he added 3.66% to his Microsoft portfolio. And Microsoft is his second biggest holding at 6.76%. He has 11 million shares of Microsoft worth $2.4 billion. Now that's huge. That's huge. And so when we see these businesses, and that's one of the things investors, new investors, retail investors like ourselves, right? I often tell people that if you sell a share, have somewhere to go with that money, right? It's important that you have somewhere else to go with that money. Because if you have somewhere else to go with that money, the money is just not sitting in your account. Now, I have no problem with you putting money in your account, just load the clip up saying, yo, I'm waiting. But if you're going to sell, that's for the money that we're actually putting in the account. So weekly, we put money in the account every week. That money is okay. But the money that's always working for us, we don't want that money to stop working for us and then we go somewhere else and we don't have nowhere else to go with it. So always when we selling shares, and we can learn from this, when we selling shares, we can actually go somewhere else with it. So that was huge by him and breaking him down, Chris Coleman. So now while we on it, let's just go to, the man I had already put out there, and I said his name, Christopher Davis. So Christopher Davis has the Clipper Fund. The Clipper Fund. And this is the owner, and this is the fund name. I think I'm gonna come out with a fund, man. Wallstreet Trapper and the Certified Trapper Fund, right? Y'all, would y'all invest in that? Comment in this if y'all would invest in. If I started a hedge fund, would y'all invest in my hedge fund? I mean, y'all know I'm a value investor, right? Because we gonna change the name of that, man. We trapping. Trapping now means value investing, right? Trapping now means I am a value investor. This is a new name for it, right? And I think I can do pretty good. I think I can give us at least, I can average 15% return for investors. Real talk. I know I can do that at ease. But the thing about me being an investor for other people, I would have a rule like Warren Buffett has. Warren Buffett has this rule. Don't ask me no questions but once a year. Right? Let me do what I do. You ask me a question once a year at the Berkshire meeting. As a matter of fact, since I own Berkshire Hathaway, not the big one, I own the little one, Berkshire B, I wonder how they're going to do the meeting this year. It's probably in May. I want to go this year. I've been owning that Berkshire B stock for a few years, and I never went. I wanted to go last year, but COVID was in the way. So I definitely want to go this year. Who gonna meet me in Omaha, Nebraska? Comment below if you gonna meet me in Omaha, Nebraska, or if we gonna Zoom. We probably Zoom it, but I think I'm gonna break that meeting down. I know I'm gonna break that meeting down. So let's talk about Christopher Davis and the Clipper Fund. He actually have 25 stocks with a portfolio value of $936 million. Not bad. Under $1 billion, but $936 million ain't nothing to laugh at, right? So let's see what he did. He reduced Amazon by 22%. Amazon makes up 8% of his portfolio. Whoa. Wait a minute. I'm looking at something. Speaking about Berkshire Hathaway, as we look at Christopher Davis, he actually owned his biggest holding is Berkshire 8. That is the $300,000 thing. He last bought 251 shares at $320,000. Yeah. Reported value of $80 million, but he reduced it by 1%. So that was a nugget we just threw in there. I guess because we were just talking about it, right? But Amazon is his second biggest holding at 8.42%. He owns 25,000 shares of Amazon. He reduced 22% of that. The average price he bought in was $3,100. It has an estimated value of right now $78 million. $78 million. I wonder why he reduced Amazon. Because I personally put a post on my Instagram. We had Amazon worth about $4,100 a share. I thought Amazon was going to get to $3,500. That was my prediction for the end of the year. I thought it would get to $3,500 by the end of the year. We got close. We got to $3,400, right? And then we scaled back down. Not mad, right? I'm a couple hundred off, but it's Amazon, right? But I still get profit because I made that prediction when I bought it at 18, right? So when I bought it at 18, it wasn't a prediction. It was just from my evaluation. I figured that Amazon would get to $3,500 by the end of the year. This one it was at $1,800. I mean, I got real close. So, we got to 34. When I got to 34, I started tooting my horn. And I think the minute I started tooting my horn, it was like, Not so fast. My friend got to be quicker than that. But it's okay. He also reduced 18% of Google, which is his third largest holding. Google represents now 7% of his portfolio. He reduced 2% of Google. It represents 7% of his portfolio. Its estimated value is $70 million. His average reported purchase price, sell-off price was at $1,469. So he sold off at $1,400. I gotta go see what his initial buying price was, so we can see exactly what he bought it at. That'll give us some homework for me right there. But he sold off a lot because I'm looking at his portfolio. He sold off Facebook. He sold off Google, Microsoft, Amazon. But he actually added 53% of his portfolio. 53% he added of Wells Fargo. Which makes up 4% of his portfolio. He has 1.9 million shares with an estimated value of $45 million. Interesting that he bought in Wells Fargo, because we talk about wealth management, right? And as you look at the video when I talked about wealth management being a way we can invest, Wells Fargo is not one of those banks that has wealth management in it. It strictly gets paid off fees. And so when you're looking at banks, when you invest in banks, always know exactly how a bank makes money. JP Morgan Chase actually has a wealth management class to it. Goldman Sachs, which is one of my favorite banks to own. Goldman Sachs and JP Morgan are two of my favorite banks to own. But lastly, let's go to my guy, man, Donald Yachtman, man, who owns a Yachtman Asset Management, right? He's actually renaming that. It was Yachtman Fund, and he's renaming it. It will get changed. But also they own 60 stocks. 60 stocks with a value of their portfolio of $6.7 billion. I wonder what it feels like to just have a B by your name. Most people get caught up with having their first million. And I ain't mad at you for going after your first million. But to have that B, damn! To have that B by your name, I'm going to start asking myself, what I got to do to have the B by my name? What I got to do? That's an interesting concept. We're going to dig into that, man. Can you imagine that, man? I went from the streets to having a B by my net worth. A B. It's possible. Listen, the one thing about this digital world, man, it makes everything possible. You imagine Trapper. That is Brandon at its finest. You feel me? So let's talk about what Yachtman did, man. So Yachtman added 56% of what? Berkshire Hathaway B. He added 56% of that, but it only actually makes up 0.63%, which is less than 1%. So I told you before, when we see them doing that, this is them adding and taking a position to see how it's going to see me back. So they own 198,000 shares of Berkshire B, reported value of $42 million. I ain't mad at that. These last two picks kind of spark my interest though. Exxon Mobil, it makes up 9% of his portfolio. Exxon Mobil. He added 9% of Exxon. I'm about to say, why would you have Exxon Mobil that deep in your thing? So he added 9.6% of Exxon Mobil to his portfolio. It makes up 0.70%. So that's less than 1%. Right, and I think that may be a good move. I think he may be seeing oil changes. So OPEC did come out today and said they cut oil barrels by 1 million barrels. Right, we saw oil on this day. We saw oil spike. Right, we saw oil spike, especially Valero and what's the other one that spiked today? Valero and it's on the tip of my tongue, y'all. It'll come to me. But we saw them spike today. So they now own 1.3 million shares. a lot of shares. With an estimated value of $46 million, almost $47 million. So it's 46,899,000, right? So he closed. Now, this is interesting. He reduced his SPY shares. That's right. He reduced the SPY shares. And let's see, why did he reduce that? I don't know why did he reduce his SPY shares. But he actually reduced SPY by 81.26%. That means he almost got off of all of his SPY shares. He only owns right now 701 shares of SPY, which is the index, the S&P 500 index, if you don't know. Right? So now that is him emptying it. That is it. If you empty 81% of your position or something, you're basically emptying the clip, right? Like he sold, right? So if we saw the S&P 500 shift for a minute, that's because of my boy down on Yachtman, right? So he actually sold 81.26%, and he got off it at $335 a share. That's what he got off it at. It actually equals 0.0, so it's zero, like he don't got nothing there. It's a little bit left there, right? Not even enough to report. And it's only worth, what he have left is only worth $235,000. You know what I'm gonna do one day? I'm gonna find me a nice company, and I'm gonna put $100K in it. I'm gonna give me a nice company. I'm gonna say, I promise y'all this: the next time the market dips, mark my word, I'm gonna find one company that I really love on my list and put $100K in it. That's exactly what I'm gonna do. So Donald Yachtman, man, so we see that he added Berkshire B, which was a great. Exxon Mobil, I see oil on the rise, right? Because OPEC coming up, clean energy is going to be good. So, Marathon. That was the word I was looking for. Marathon oil. I knew it was going to come to me, y'all. Like, Marathon oil was the stock that went up today. And he reduced the SPY. Could he be losing faith in the S&P index? I don't know. But listen, man, those are the 3 whales we watching this week and whale watching Wednesdays. Hope you all enjoyed this video. It's a segment that I'm going to do every week on a Wednesday, whale watching Wednesdays, just to give us some more insight on what's going on. Hope y'all like for 2021. We got some great things coming. We're going to put a lot of information out on the YouTube channel. We're going for 4, 5, 6 videos a week. You feel me? Just to flood the streets. I told y'all, we in mixtape Wheezy mode, man. It's your boy, the Wallstreet Trapper. Listen, click the link below. Check out the Trappers Anonymous group, man. Listen, the group is amazing. Weekly, we do live weekly classes where we break down one stock so we get 5 trappers, and they have to break down a stock in the sector that we choose. At the end of the month, we choose one winner, and the first place and the second place winner. Your best presentation. It's not a competition, but it's incentive for us learning how to invest in these businesses, man. Do me a favor, man. Like this, subscribe to it, comment below. I will comment to you, man. It's your boy, the Wallstreet Trapper. My goal is to help the culture build wealth one share at a time, man. Trap with me.